Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, continuing to take a way too early look at some of these top week one matchups for the college football season. And we're taking a look at West Virginia heading on the road to Penn State. And Dill, before we even get into both these teams, I don't think you'll find many people higher on both these programs. I think Penn State is a bona fide top 8, maybe even top 5 team in the country. In West Virginia, yeah, they're not a top 10 team in the country. I'm not going to get up here and say they are, but you read like some of the offseason stuff about West Virginia, and I don't even know if Neil Brown still might get fired. But in terms of how competitive this team can be in 2023, you saw like Athlon Sports say this is the I think the quote, I don't have it in front of me, was like, this is the worst program in the Big 12. They're small and not physical. Like I don't see it. And so we're going to break this game down before we get into it. And then we'll give you our picks at the end. Before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been a blast taking a look at these game previews, whether it's the betting standpoint, whether it's just talking ball in the matchups. The support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, let us know in the comment section who you're taking, what your pick is. Appreciate y'all rocking with the boys and Dell. I'm going to kick this one off to you. Early takes on West Virginia, Penn State.
First of all, I think we're all excited to see what Drew Allar has. Like, at the end of the day, if Drew Allar is really, really good, like up to what his recruiting ranking was and all the hype around him, this is a Penn State team. I don't think it's crazy to say they can win national title because they're so talented around him. They've been a quarterback away now, it feels like, for a little while. They just haven't had great – they've had good quarterback play at times with Clifford, but never great quarterback play. If they get great quarterback play from Allar, I think this team's very dangerous, certainly in the Big Ten, which obviously is me tough with Ohio State.
Oh, I think, yeah, they're dangerous nationally. Like, we consider Penn State. I mean, you saw our Big Ten rankings. This Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Like, then there's a drop-off. Like, that's how good this Penn State team is. And I guess we'll start on the offensive side of the ball because what I love about this Penn State program heading into 2023 with a young quarterback is, I mean, the offensive line and running game. It's going to be dominant. That's a quarterback's best friend, especially a young quarterback's best friend. And so you're going to West Virginia, and that's probably the biggest question mark I have. And I'll get to the points where I think West Virginia can be dangerous. But in terms of the front seven, like that's probably the biggest mismatch of this game is Penn State's one of the best offensive lines in the country. You have two running backs who are legitimately elite in Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I don't see this Penn State or this West Virginia defense really being able to keep those guys in check.
My main worry is I think this is just going to be a small defensive line, and yes, that is okay, and they're losing Stills and some guys who could play for sure. I think the linebackers are really good, obviously. I think Koba is a really good player, and I think a couple other guys can really play. So I think the front 3 or 4 I'm very worried about because, again, you look at this Penn State offensive line, big, physical. They have 2 really good running backs. That's where I think I'm with you. It's like you just worry, are they going to be able to prevent 5-yard gains on first downs consistently? Because if they can, I feel like Penn State will kind of score whenever they touch it.
Yeah, and then if you do have to start allocating, from a learning aspect, like I'm excited to see what the passing attack looks like because I don't think Penn State will necessarily need Drew and those wide receivers to really get it going. But I am really excited to see which wide receiver emerges for Penn State and who's kind of going to be that difference maker down the field. And Penn State fans, I asked you guys this and I got a lot of good input. Let me know in the comment section who you have stepping up as that wide receiver 1 for Penn State because that's probably the question mark I have with this offense. Obviously, Drew, and what does he look like as a year 1 starting quarterback, but also who's he going to be throwing the football to? Because there's some names that excite me. I just don't know who is going to be. Now, West Virginia secondary I like. I think they rebuilt in the transfer portal. I think they're pretty solid if they can stay healthy, which has been a struggle.
It's week 1 enough. You're going to be healthy week 1.
Well, West Virginia was healthy week 1 until the second drive of the season where one of their starting quarterbacks goes down hurt. So I knock on wood, they stay healthy, but I don't know if it matters, quite frankly. I think Penn State can run the football. I have a hard time seeing West Virginia.
You really don't think the linebackers can just slow it down a little bit?
No, because we were texting about Lee Coker the other day. I think he's a legitimate, really good linebacker. It's going to be really hard when you're seeing guards and centers work into your next level pretty damn clean.
I mean, that's the thing. If this defensive line can protect him a little bit, I think Koba and Dixon, I think they can be tough. At least, again, do I think they're going to like shut this run game down? No, they're probably going to have at least 200 yards, I would think, from Penn State. But like, man, when you look at, I don't know, it will be. I think Coben and Dixon both can really play. I think they have some good outside linebackers. If they can just get a little protection from that defensive line, I do wonder if they maybe can force the Penn State to have to throw it a little bit.
That'll be the story of the game, because again, it's going to be a lot. If you can't get off the field and the team can just run the football like straight down the field, like you can't win football games that way. So that is the story. Now, flipping into the offense side of the ball before we get into our picks here, Dill, if there's one aspect, and Penn State aggregately was pretty good against the run because of how freakishly, this is a bona fide top 5 defense, by the way. Like before, I don't know, I don't want to list everyone on the depth chart, but Penn State's defense is a top 5 unit in the country. That being said, West Virginia, I think, is criminally underrated with how effective I think this offense can be in terms of running the football.
Well, I think people don't totally get how I thought JT Daniels, when I went back and watched, like he did not give them a great shot at a lot of
points.
He's
bad. Yeah, he was bad.
Like, again, the 5-star hype from high school has followed him around a lot. It's just you haven't really ever gotten really close to that potential. And frankly, when they put Green in, it looked like they had a better shot in a lot of cases.
And it might not have been as sexy because JT Daniels is more of a pocket passer, and that's what I think a lot of people like is can you push the ball down the field? Garrett Green, he's dynamic. Like he's a phenomenal athlete.
He's a gutsy player. I felt like it felt like he put some life into everybody around him.
He's a college football guy. Like a college football quarterback, look it up in the dictionary, it's Garrett Green. Like Garrett Green is that dude, and you combine a dynamic quarterback who can move athletically with a guy in CJ Donaldson who, I mean, one of the West Virginia fans, he's up to 240 pounds. This dude is a straight up bowling ball. As a true freshman, he was one of the best players on the field every single week. And I think everyone knows CJ Donaldson. I think everyone knows Garrett Green can move. What I think is getting slept on the most, and why I was so confused when I see this preseason slander against West Virginia, is the offensive line is pretty damn good. Like, I like the players. Like, do you look at Zach Frazier? I have it right here. Doug Nestor, an NFL guy. Zach Frazier, an NFL guy. Wyatt Millam. I think I said that name right. Wyatt Millam. He's an NFL guy. Like, that offensive line returns a lot of guys from a unit that was pretty damn good. And Dill, we saw Penn State against Michigan last year. Like, when they got physical, Penn State doesn't have necessarily the biggest bodies on that interior defensive line. Can West Virginia get some traction on the run game? That's probably my question mark.
And that'll be interesting. Can West Virginia commit to playing a little more physical and in playing that bully ball?
They did hire the running backs coach as their OC, so I think you're going to see them pound the rock.
I mean, maybe, because like obviously last year they played a lot of spread. They threw the ball. It felt like probably more than they should have.
Yeah, agreed.
And can they go commit to just trying to bully Penn State around? Because you're right. If there's one place you can get after this Penn State defense, it is small, athletic defensive tackles who, again, like, do I think West Virginia's in the world of Michigan up front? No. And I don't think they can necessarily just slam it like what Michigan did. But if they're going to have any success, it's got to come from that, because I just, like, you look at West Virginia, who's going to be catching who's going to make big plays on the edge?
I am excited about Devin Carter. And Devin Carter's a guy we've been talking about for a while going back to NC State. Like, from a standpoint of looking the part, like Devin Carter looks the part. Can he put it together? That's a question mark, but I don't even think that's West Virginia's identity. Like, I think West Virginia's identity is going to be physically running the football, and I think you're going to see them test Penn State, especially up front. And again, it's like Penn State, I know they're small up front, but they're pretty damn good up front.
Well, that's the problem. It's like, I just think West Virginia isn't two-dimensional enough in this game to challenge a team as good as Penn State. I mean, and maybe when you see a Michigan or a Georgia, like those teams that are really physical and have a couple of really good backs, like then you can get away with being a little one-dimensional at times. But I don't know if West Virginia is there against a team at Penn State that's frankly going to be more talented at basically every position.
Yeah. All right, that'll get us into the pick. West Virginia on the road, 20.5-point dogs. So you have Penn State with the 3-touchdown hook. Dill, who you riding with week 1 here?
I'm not gonna lie, I almost want to just say West Virginia, because like, again, with it being Drew Allar's first game, and if he doesn't play really good, do I think like Garrett Green can steal a couple drives, make big plays on 3rd and long? again, like what you saw him do against Oklahoma when he came in that game and kind of shifted the energy. 20 points, that's a lot of points, dude. Like we're talking about this, like that's what you'd expect like a weaker MAC team. Maybe not a MAC team, but like a good MAC team shows up with that. I just think West Virginia might be better than that.
That's the thing is like this is a hard game for me to pick because I think West Virginia is substantially better than the Bucks think. I also think Penn State's better than people think, and the Bucks think too.
Well, it's like if Drew Allar comes out and plays, it's almost like I feel like if Drew Allar is really good, they'll beat him by probably 30 points.
I'm telling you, if this game was in Morgantown and you gave me a 20.5, I would be riding with West Virginia. Like if this game's at West Virginia, I would be.
It's going to be rocking in State. It is going to be rocking.
It's good, and like, but it's also like, I mean, if you said Drew Allar first year quarterback going on the road to Morgantown, I'm a little bit like more concerned. That being said, you mentioned Drew Allar, and that's probably the one take where I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit nervous. Like that makes me year one. Now they did it.
You even look at CJ Stroud, like his first game at Ohio State. It's like you saw the talent, you saw the magic, but like they didn't go run that Minnesota team that they were far more talented than off the field. They hung with them, and if Drew Allar just makes any like rookie mistakes, I think that could. Again, if they come out and run, if Lee Coben and company can't slow the running game down, like, they're going to get run off the field. I think they maybe can. I think if Drew Allar makes a couple mistakes, that's too many points to unless you played really good football.
All right. All right. West Virginia, plus 20.5. You'll take it. I'm riding with Penn State to cover, and I have two reasons. One, I don't necessarily know if it matters if Drew looks great or not. It's hard for me to see this West Virginia run defense slowing down Penn State and what they can do up front and with the two running backs they have. And second, I don't think it gets talked enough about. Like Drew, he's a first-year starting quarterback, but they put him in some moments. Like week 1 last year on the road at Purdue, Drew had to take like a drive in the third quarter.
Awesome.
And so, like, Drew has been in it. Like, it's not going to be like their lights are too bright. Like, he's been in that situation. So that settles my nerves a little bit of a first-year quarterback as well. So I'm rocking with Penn State. I know the number's big, but it's just Penn State's too damn physical up front. So I'm rocking with.
It is really good. It's like maybe if this is week 3, I think this line should be closer to 27 or 28. But I don't know. First game in front of the home team, like all that pressure. I can see a world that West Virginia in this West Virginia team. I just don't think they're going to get run off the ball like a team that's just so far outside of Penn State's league. They're out of Penn State's league for sure, and I don't see a world where they win this game. But I don't think they're 30 or 20, 21 points necessarily unless Drew Allar plays great out of this team's league.
Yeah. All right. Let us know in the comment section what you guys are thinking of. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas like you have always been doing, and we'll talk to y'all later.